Seattle Seahawks, they have Geno Smith playing quarterback until Russell Wilson returns. It was all they could do to physically restrain him from the field last night. He was actually on the field after that wacky play at the end of regulation when I think DK Metcalf decided he was just going to try to score. He was going to try to blast through the defensive back and score instead of getting out of bounds. Regardless, Wilson was on the field. Then he was out there for the coin toss in overtime. He's coming back as soon as he can. In the interim, Pete Carroll was on 710 ESPN Radio in Seattle today, and he acknowledged that a phone call was made to a certain high-profile MVP in 2015 free agent quarterback. Here's Pete Carroll.
Cam, somebody you would talk to.
Well, just so that you know, we've already talked to him. We're talking to everybody that could help us. And to go right back to the base philosophy that we always we uphold here is that we're going to be competing in every turn with whoever would be available, and so we're on it.
How'd those conversations go?
They're all right.
Now, I know that what I'm about to say is going to piss some people off, and that never really stopped me any other time in my life. So why start now? If they talk to everybody who could potentially help them, did they call Colin Kaepernick? I'm curious. I am. And look, the ship has sailed. He's never playing in the NFL. They have successfully run out the clock. But if you are truthful and honest when you say we've talked to everyone who can help us, why would you not talk to Kaepernick? Because you're the only team that brought him in for a visit ever. Of all the teams in the NFL, once he became a free agent, the Seahawks are the only ones that brought him in. And frankly, I think they didn't want him at the time because at the time they hadn't fully eradicated the anti-Russell Wilson crowd that was in the locker room. And there were some guys in the locker room who were not on board with Russell Wilson the way that they needed to be. They didn't want to have, I believe, they didn't want to have Kaepernick there, because maybe some of the guys that really didn't like Russell Wilson would start clamoring for Kaepernick to play. It's a different world now, though. And look, Geno Smith came into the NFL 2 years after Colin Kaepernick. Objectively, dispassionately, how could you not say, if you set all the other stuff aside, and I know it's impossible for people to do it, especially the people that don't like Kaepernick, but Kaepernick's better than Geno Smith. He is. He hasn't played in 4 years, I know. And the longer they manage to keep him on the sideline, the stronger that argument becomes. It's like, well, he hasn't played in a full year. Well, he hasn't played in 2 years. Well, he hasn't played in 3 years. Yeah, it's your fault he hasn't. And that supports your argument. The fact you successfully kept him out supports your argument. Anyway, I had no intention to go there. But the way that Pete Carroll answered the question, hey, if you're going to talk to everybody who could help you, he's definitely a guy who could help you. Am I wrong?
No, you're absolutely right. And the question becomes too, Mike, if you've talked to these people and they can help you, that's what you've said, then why aren't you going out and getting someone who can help you? I would argue that Cam Newton's better than Geno Smith, and he made perfect sense to me when Russell Wilson got hurt for the Seahawks. He's now fully vaccinated. He wants to play. Chris Carson's been out. He would help their running game as much as he would help their passing game. I just think he would be an answer. And, yeah, you're right. If you're going to talk to everybody, Colin Kaepernick's probably a guy you should talk to, too, because you are the team that had him come in and visit, and you're the team that showed at least a little bit of interest in him at the time.
Cam Newton is only going to work on a team that needs to replace its starter for the rest of the year because he's not going to be the backup. Teams don't want him to be the backup. He doesn't want to be a backup. His opportunity arises when someone loses their quarterback for the rest of the year and decides he's a better option than next man up, plain and simple. And I think that's ultimately why they didn't sign him. And also, it's a non-conversation if a guy isn't vaccinated. Think about it this way. Teams are calling around because they need people now. And if it's somebody who isn't vaccinated and has to wait 5 days, we're going to pivot to somebody else. We need someone now, not in 5 days. We need them now. And I think that's, Charean, one of the big reasons why Newton has gone ahead and gotten vaccinated. Maybe the conversation was a short one last week, and it began and ended with the question of, are you vaccinated?
Yeah, absolutely, Mike. And, I looked at Cam Newton's age, and it surprised me he's only 32. I mean, it seems like this guy's played forever, and now he's been sitting there since the Patriots cut him. And I do think his vaccination status was a reason that he didn't get signed after the Patriots cut him, but he now is vaccinated. I think at some point he gets a chance again in the NFL. Some point this season, I think he gets a chance again in the NFL. I mean, this guy won the MVP award in 2015, and I know he's not that same quarterback, but Mike, he can still play, and he's still better than a lot of quarterbacks in the NFL who are playing now.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.